One of the nicest effects to make in a game, I think, is to have little health or stat bars. In this case, it's a stamina bar, and this little monster is unfortunately not so fit, our player character here. So if I move around the screen and this wraps around, if you want to wrap things as a function in the helper functions, and then when he runs out of stamina, he moves very, very slowly. But then when I stop, the health comes back, or the stamina comes back. And if I stop at any time, and you'll notice for gameplay reasons, the stamina drains slowly and regrows quickly. It's a nice effect. Of course, the health bar or the stat bar doesn't have to be above the character. It could be, if you're doing a fighting game, it could be up the top here, for example. It could be a health bar at the top. Also you could have different colors, etc. But the basic idea we will show you how to do here. As per usual, I'm not going to put any of this in main. I'm simply going to have a function called initPlayer, updatePlayer, and drawPlayer, and then I can put everything in a player file and not have to worry about clogging up the main file here. Okay, so to start off with, the first thing that I need to do is I need to have in my player object, now I've got energy, but you could think of this as being health as well. You want to have the current health or energy of the player. I suggest 100 is good because it just makes everything easier. Think about it like percentages, for example. The other thing you need is max energy. So for example, the player after running around a bit might be on 73 energy, but we need to know that their max energy is 100 because you might have noticed we have regenerating energy, and we also draw the full energy bar even if it's just in a dark color behind as it's being depleted. So that's what we use those for. So those are the most important things. These things down here might be different for your game, just the usual X, Y, direction, speed, etc. You'll notice here I actually have a direction vector here, 0, 0. That will change. Width, height, all of those are normal things, but I've put a space here because these are the two relevant things for your health or energy or stat bar. Those two things. Now, the next thing to do is to look at when we're updating the player, how do we update these values? Well, that'll change. I mean, your one might be in collision detection. If you take a hit, perhaps the health goes down, for example. But if you'll notice, my one here is that if the energy, so if the player dot direction does not equal 0, yep, so this just means here if the player's moving. I mean, yours will probably look different, but here's the key line, player dot energy minus 0.3. Now you can just play around with that number and work out what works for your game, but that means 0.3 points every 60 times a second. That actually goes down reasonably quickly. Then we have, if it's not moving, we actually want faster regeneration, so we say player.energy plus equals 2. For the purposes of drawing our bar, though, we really want that number to be somewhere between 0 and 100. So again, I'm going to set player.energy to using the clamp function. What I want to clamp, player.energy, what the lowest is and what the highest is. Again, clamp is not built into MicroStudio, but it is in that extra bundle of things that I have put together for you. And then again, this is not built into MicroStudio, but you can use the wrap function to make the player wrap around the other side of the screen. Incidentally, this 25 number is how far past the end until it comes back over here. So that makes it look a little bit more realistic if you have some distance that it goes off the screen before it comes back. All right, now the main meat and potatoes of this, or maybe tofu and potatoes if you don't wish to eat meat, we are going to look at how to put a health bar or an energy bar on the screen, how to actually draw it. So you can see here, drawing the sprite is completely different. This is drawing the energy bar. Now, you don't have to do it like this, but I have just put a whole lot of local variables, calculated them here, and then we'll use them down here just to make it easier to read and easier to play around with your code. Of course, adding the local tag here simply just means that we're not creating new variables or writing over other variables that other parts of the program use. These variables only exist inside this function at this moment, and then at the end of the function they are freed from memory. So first of all, I just have the width in pixels, how wide I want the health bar to be. The height, again, it's pretty self-explanatory. 4 pixels high, you obviously want it quite wide and not very high. Or you might not in your game, I don't know. The Y offset is just how far above the player you want it to be. So for example, in our one here, the health bar doesn't actually exist in the middle of the player. It's above the player, and it's 12 pixels above the middle of the player. So that's what we're doing there. And this is just working out how many pixels the bar is actually filled. And you don't have to worry too much about the mathematics here. But basically, if we take how much energy we have divided by our max energy, let's say we were at half our energy, that would result in 0.5, that number, and then when we times it by the width of 40, we'll work out that we actually have to fill in 20 pixels. So again, you can try and learn all the maths as you go, or you can just use it for the moment and get interested in that a little bit later when you want to make some changes. So we've got those things, and now from that point, it suddenly becomes a lot easier to draw our bar. I have done mine a little bit. I mean, I guess the problem with an energy bar, you could draw the energy in the middle of the bar. However, you probably want to draw it from the left-hand side of the bar. So if you type in this command here, screen.setDrawAnchor -1 0, just to give you a little bit of a quick overview of what that means. It basically means that if you are drawing a rectangle in this spot here, where that dot is, the normal situation, it would draw a rectangle perfectly around that. So this is what we call a 0-0 configuration for our set draw anchor, 0-0. However, that's not what we want. We want to draw our bar from the left-hand side. If I get a different color, we actually want to draw our bar starting from the left and going out here, and that just happens to be -1 0. It simply just means we're drawing from our X point out from the left to the right, and that'll let us do our bar properly. Again, I wouldn't worry too much about that at the moment. Just know that we have to really importantly set it back to 0-0 again at the end, otherwise everything else will get drawn weird as well. Now the point where we actually draw the energy bar, it's in two parts. First, we have the backing, which I've done in a dark color here. If you can see, if I run around, you'll see that I just have this dark color at the back, and the foreground color is very light yellow. So we draw the backing first, otherwise it will be over the top of the rest, which won't work. So draw the energy bar backing. I simply have screen.fillRect. Now, player.x, if we just think about this, we're drawing from the left-hand side of the bar again. So we need to start here. This in the middle here is player.x, but we actually have to go half the bar width to the left before we can start drawing the bar. Remember, because we're drawing it from the left. So half the bar width out to the left. So you can say player.x minus the width divided by 2. And then how long are we going to draw it? The y position is simply going to be player.y plus the offset. And then we just draw it the width and the height, and you can set the color there. The energy bar itself is the same thing. The only thing that changes is instead of the width of the bar, we this time only draw it the width of however much it is filled. And that is it. Voila. Hopefully you should have an easy energy bar or health bar to draw for your player. Well, maybe not easy, but a good one.